Hello and welcome to Plot Twisters.
This is a podcast where we take movies and twist the plot to see if we can make them better, and if not, more excellent!
At the moment, we're talking about teen movies from the 80s.
On this episode, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure from 1989.
I'm Emma, and together we have witnessed many things, but nothing as bodacious as this.
I'm Anders, and strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
What's up, Anders?
Sup, dude? Sup, Emma?
This is excellent.
Ooh, totally bodacious, am I right?
This morning, I said to my partner, oh, hey, I need to watch a film for the podcast later. Do you want to watch it with me? And he goes, what film is it? And I said, oh, it's Bill and Ted's Great Adventure. and he sat up straight and he went, it's Excellent Adventure. And that was when I discovered that my partner is a huge fan of this movie.
That's fantastic. Bill and Ted's Great Adventure was like a year earlier where they decided they wanted to form a band, and it was fine, you know, but it was not that noteworthy. And it was the sequel to Bill and Ted's Grand Day Out. Exactly, which was a sequel in itself of Bill and Ted's Regular Morning, where they just poached eggs and had a good time. Which was a sequel to Bill to the Future, Ted. Where he met Ted. Yeah. And that was a sequel to the first movie, Bill by himself, not having fun, and it's not even remotely interesting, the movie. And then there were 9 sequels, one of which was to Bill to Ted. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, let's get right into it. This is a 1989 American film. What gave it away? What gave it away? I should clarify that one. It's an American movie. This is not a Fellini film, okay? This is not a niche European think piece, okay? It's a German art house film. It's an American film, and surprise, surprise, it has time travel in it. Yes, because this is who we are. It's got one of our faves in it. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter as Bill and Ted. They're two bodacious dudes and they talk like this, man. Yeah. And they're in a band and they're terrible. Yeah, so bad. But what's even worse is that they're failing history, and if they fail history, they're going to flunk out of school, and Ted's going to have to go to military school, which it doesn't say a lot about the American military, that the kind of in most movies the solution to your flunking out of school is that you need to go to military school. I know, but like, you know, I mean, if anything, it just probably doesn't say much about like parents who think the solution to solving your delinquency is to go to the military. Just go away. That's so extreme from like you're a surf dude who's in a band and failing history to, I guess the solution is military. There are other solutions. Bill's dad. There certainly are. Ted's dad. I care about your child, for one. So they need to do a history presentation, otherwise they're going to fail and they're going to flunk out of school. They need to get an A+, so it needs to be not just good, not just great, but excellent. It needs to be excellent. Then I can't remember where they were when this happened, but like a phone box turns up and a guy. They were sitting outside the Circle K. Yeah, the Circle K. They were sitting outside a supermarket. It was like a convenience store. It was a bit like that. It was a bit like that movie that you didn't like, Suburbia. Oh, don't you worry. I'm going to do the whole list of movies that we've already talked about. That are like this movie, because there's hundreds. Right? No, they're outside the Circle K. They're outside the Circle K. Phone box turns up, but not like the one you're thinking of, British ring, people. Ring. Not like the blue police box. It's like an old 80s phone box turns up and a guy comes out of it and goes, hey, you need to do some time traveling essentially pass your test, your presentation, to save the world. And they're like, whoa. And then Bill and Ted from the future come out and say, yeah, trust this guy. He knows what he's talking about. And then they basically go on a time traveling adventure where they go through history and pick up a bunch of famous historical figures. Right. And then bring them all back to where they live, which was San Dimas, California. California. And California, yeah. And then
they do their presentation with all these historical figures,
Right.
and it's really funny, and they get an A+, and it's all fine. They don't flunk, and then at the end they're like, the guy's like, oh, the reason you had to do this was because your music like saves the world and everybody listens to your music, and then he says something like, maybe we should learn how to play.
Yeah, which, by the way, first of all, that's a great setup for the sequel, which we'll talk about. But if you haven't seen the sequel, oh my goodness, we need to wow. It was that the best part about that was like, we're gonna flunk history. Oh no. And then Rufus is like, I'll help you guys, but also you're the reason that you two create peace and harmony in the whole universe in the future, and you have to stay friends. If you go to military school, you won't write this song, and if you don't write this song, then it won't bring the society together, and the whole history of the universe will be gone.
Yeah. One of my favorite bits is that in like the second half of this time travel adventure, they kind of realize that it's almost like a superpower thing. They're like, oh wait, what if we come back in time in the future and put these things in place so that we can succeed now? Right. So they're like, oh, we need your dad's car keys. Where are your dad's car keys? I know. Remember in the future to put them in this bush, and then he reaches down and gets them out of the bush. And it's like, whoa, they're there. That was very fun. Also, in fact, in conclusion,
I rest my case.
Here is my number one comment that I have to say about this film.
Mm-hmm.
This is a film that we would have made up.
I know. This is one of our movies. Did we make this movie up?
Did we?
Hang on. Did we go back in time and make this movie up? Did we go back in time and invent them? Whoa, we just need to remember to make... You're not wrong. This movie is like one of our movies, because this movie is, on the one hand, completely ridiculous, okay? There's nobody out there going, this is a very serious film, right? Having said that, my 2 cents, I think this movie's great. I think this movie's one of the most important movies ever made, and I think everybody needs to watch it.
Important.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
I love Bill and Ted's. But I agree, this is as silly as one of our twists.
Have you watched the new one as well then?
Yes.
Because there was one last year?
Yeah, like a year or two ago, Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Right.
And I have to tell you, it's also great. All 3 of them are great. You really haven't seen the sequel. You haven't seen the one in the next movie. They die and go to hell.
Whoa.
And they have to go head to head with the devil to come back from hell so that they can then fight some robot versions of themselves who are trying to destroy their relationships with the princesses. And then ultimately they go on stage and they perform an amazing song. Actually, they go on stage and then they're terrible, but then they go back in time or into the future where they spend 10 years learning how to be great at music. And they come back with huge beards and kids, and then they play the greatest music of all time, and that's the music that saves the world.
I'm glad. I'm good. It's good to know how that arc ends, because I think that is a big criticism I have this film, is that it's very it's very unexplained how we go from 2 idiots who can't play music to your music saves the world.
I know it's ridiculous. What other bits did you like about this movie? What else did you like?
I like the CGI a lot.
Yeah.
Very much my kind of thing. Very early CGI where it looks hand drawn. Kind of like Tron style.
Oh yeah.
I like that a lot. I liked that it was very silly, because I like silly films. I liked the concept a lot, like the premise. I think, and there were some moments where I really laughed.
Nice.
But not as many as I would have liked, I guess.
Not as much, not sub chuckle. Yeah.
I think there was an opportunity for more jokes, but then it could have just been that there were more jokes that I just didn't get, because I'm not like...
Because this movie's so
age.
old. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe some references or something. But I do see how many other things reference this, and it also felt very like it felt kind of ahead of its time. Like this kind of California surfer voices.
Yeah.
Character is very much 90s thing. Like it made me think of the skateboarding guy in Clueless a lot. You know.
I'm gonna take all this off. I'm gonna put a Marvin Martian right here on the thing.
What's your journey with this film?
I don't know. This is one of those movies that it's just been around. I just feel like I probably watched it when I was a kid a bunch of times, and as a teenager, and as a grown up. I have watched this movie in lots of different, like, you know, phases of life and in focus of attention or not. I think this is a perfect, like, sleepover movie. This is a perfect, like, stoner movie. This is a perfect, like, cramming for your, you know, SATs movie. It's a perfect, just feeling a little bit down and I want to watch something warm and comforting and silly kind of a movie. And now, as a fully enlightened adult, I think it's an interesting movie to examine the theories of time travel.
So like a science thing.
Well, it's just, you know, it just makes me think, right? I mean, like, the thing is, I've watched this movie a lot of times, and you just talked about that thing where it's like, dude, you gotta remember to steal your dad's keys. Okay, tomorrow I'll steal the keys and I'll bring them back to right here. And then there they are.
Yeah.
That's never been explored in other time travel movies in my experience. The thing where it's like, okay, you went back in time and you did a thing and therefore it's been done, right? But in this one, it's like, I can think about a thing I'm gonna do. And then they escalate it more. They're like, gotta remember, trash can that falls from the sky, I guess, onto their dad. So that always made me think a lot. And it kind of wrinkled my brain a little bit, you know? And then, but the thing I really like to think about, if you follow that logic, right, where, like, the things they do in this time travel journey directly impact the past and the future and all that stuff. Like, I feel like at some point in his presidency, before he was assassinated, Abe Lincoln would probably say, one time I went to the future. Party on, dudes. You know, like how come America didn't change completely? And also Beethoven. Don't you think he would have written some funky, weird music when he got back? Or which one was it, Mozart or Beethoven? I can't remember.
Butterfly effect issues.
That's what I'm saying. It either has to reset, or there's some real issues with the time travel philosophy of this movie. You know, who was it? Was it Beethoven or was it Mozart?
It was Beethoven.
Beethoven. Right. Beethoven, which I thought was really good. Beethoven, Socrates.
Who was your favorite?
I kind of like Joan of Arc. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, it kind of annoyed me when she saw the aerobics people. I just was like, oh, okay, now it's time for the woman stuff.
Yeah, like lady stuff. Lols. Wasn't she like, you know, maybe she should have, but she had a sword, you know?
She did have a sword.
I like Socrates a lot.
I think there were maybe funnier characters that you could have had. I would say that is one thing.
Yeah.
You know, like there could have been like, what if you had like Queen Elizabeth II? Nope, not that one. A first.
You could have Queen Elizabeth II bring back a young, you know, you could have her if you want.
But like, it's like a queen.
Yeah.
So she's like acting like, I think they were kind of quite silent at points. Like that's, I guess, what I mean in terms of, I think there was some more jokes that could have been made.
Well, I mean,
like the bit where Sigmund Freud is saying like he holds a, what's it called, a corn dog.
Yeah,
So that was funny. And then
that
he
was
like
funny.
was like, do you want to lie down on a chaise longue? And
Yeah.
you know, that was good.
That was good.
I think they could have done more of that. I think there could have been more jokes about the historical characters.
Right.
Have you ever seen any Horrible Histories?
No, but I'm aware of what it is.
You're aware of
I'm
it.
aware of it, but I've never seen it.
When I was a kid, it was a series of books. So, and there'd be one like, it was like, you know,
Right.
awful Egyptians and horrendous Howards and terrible Tudors and stuff like that.
Right.
And they would teach you about history, but like from the perspective of like a kind of yucky kid. Like it was when I was a kid, sort of like early noughties, kind of gross things were really popular, like dunking kids in slime and stuff like that was all really, really popular, and being like, you know, scatological. So yeah, but Horrible Histories is now a TV show, and it's really good. Like I've actually watched quite a lot of it as an adult because it's really fun.
Nice.
And they get proper kind of like current comedians to be in it as well.
Okay.
So yeah, it's really good. But they make a lot of great jokes, like historical jokes. Maybe this is just the slight like nerd coming out of me that I'm like, oh, you could have made more actual jokes about the historical figures
and you
that
make
were
more
relevant.
Is it because they chose a bunch of people who, let's be honest, I mean, half of the people that they brought back from the past didn't speak English?
Yeah, it could have been that. It's just also just kind of like, so like there's a bit where Beethoven sits down at the keyboard, and I literally said as we were watching it, oh, I hope he's going to do some of his tunes but in like an 80s synth thing, which he then did. And I thought that was really cool, but I was like, that's kind of the only joke you can do with
What else
Beethoven.
is there? What else is there?
Know? But like if again, using my example of like Queen Elizabeth, I don't know why I thought about her
because you love the Queen and you're very patriotic.
I at one point I thought they were going to have King Arthur, and I was like, how fun would it be if it was King Arthur but he was like he like came across something in the stone and was trying to get it out. You know, like it's just they just could have been a bit more comedic potential with the characters they chose. I know I'm nitpicking here, but
I think that's fine. I mean, I think that's fine. I think that the idea of bringing somebody from the past into the future and asking what they think about the future is a fun idea. And maybe they could have executed that a bit more. I liked the thing I like the most about this movie, aside from the time travel stuff, which you know me, like my favorite movie is Back to the Future. I do love thinking about time travel. I love the concept. I love thinking about what if this is real? What if down in the future we find out that one of these movies that was just joking around actually nailed it and got it super right, you know?
Yeah.
Back to the Future proposes a lot of different alternate timelines, whereas this film proposes there's one timeline and very few consequences. But at the same time, if Bill and Ted didn't meet or didn't stay together, ultimate consequence. So how come you can bring Joan of Arc back from the past, you know, just before she's killed at 16 or whatever, and that's fine, but because no impact, but also Rufus has to come back from the future to stop Bill from going to military school, or Ted from going to military school. So that, you know, inconsistent maybe. But I'd say the thing I liked probably more than all of this, I really liked Keanu Reeves in this movie. And I know I said that about River's Edge, and I'll probably say that about any other movie that Keanu is in. I just like watching movies to validate that theory that I've had my whole life, which is Keanu Reeves is actually a brilliant actor and not a dum-dum that people make him out to be. Maybe
do people do that?
I think so. I think he has an air of like, oh yeah, Keanu Reeves. Maybe that's changed ever since the John Wicks and the, you know, other like fancy movies he's been in.
The perception of Keanu Reeves that I think I have come from, whether or not that's representative of my age, gender, or generation, I don't know, but he's always seemed cool.
He's a cool guy
to me and people I've spoken to, because Neo from The Matrix. So
yeah. What about that? Didn't you like that scene when they went into the future and there were those weird like future lords sat up on that weird shelf? And they all had their sunglasses on. They're all the air guitaring.
I did like it, but I guess I didn't super get it at the time. I suppose I got it later on, what that was all about, but it did confuse me a bit. But I did love the aesthetic a lot. I did like the fashion a lot. I will say that.
I sort of like the idea that, like, because they had this phone book of all time, even though this is a movie with a script and plots and characters and, you know, it was filmed and stuff, it had a randomness to it that made it feel like literally they could go anywhere, and wherever they went was just a whim and not like a by design, you know?
Yeah, it didn't really have like a clear
Right.
structure.
They didn't have a list of places to go. They weren't like, we got to get Joan of Arc and we got to get Beethoven. They were just like, mash keys and then famous person, get in the phone booth.
To be true to my character once again, I didn't really like the fact that they had to do a history test that wasn't on something specific. Right. So I did history throughout like my whole time at school. Like I did it to the,
Yeah.
right to the end.
Yeah.
And you kind of do like an area of history. You focus on a specific area. You don't just do like all history.
Right.
So it's like, oh, you need to do a history presentation on all history, just
Right.
the famous ones. That was annoying. I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking again. Oh dear.
Oh, too general. Oh, they're just basically studying famous people. Why didn't they pick to be fair, why weren't they writing a... No, because the whole project was... the whole conceit of this is like, you're going to fail history unless you put on an amazing presentation, and the presentation is famous people from the past. What would they think of modern day
But that's
San
the kind
Dimas,
of thing
right?
that you do. That's the kind of thing you do when you're like 12 in history class. When I was their age, I was doing like the impact of propaganda in the First World War on international relations.
Yeah.
And how that carried through into the Second World War. It's like it's not very realistic. It's not very realistic.
This is America. Come on. You gotta lower your...
some random like, oh, look, it's Abraham Lincoln. He was in the past.
Yeah.
What does he think? Oh, I guess he thinks it's okay.
These Americans, they don't no offense, everybody. I'm sorry, Americans. I'm one too, so I'm right there with you. But like, we're not all the sharpest tools in the shed, right?
Not all Americans.
Not all. Hey, can I shock you?
You can try.
Can I try? And I will. I'm going to try to shock you right now.
Oh my god. Sorry, that was a stupid joke. Carry on.
Do you feel good about that? Do you feel good?
I feel okay.
Yeah.
I feel okay. Here's how I feel.
Yeah.
I think that could have been a better visual joke than an auditory joke.
That's fair.
But I would do it again.
Nice. Once you start down the road of dad jokes, you just have to commit to it. Right?
I'm 2 hours on the highway at this point.
You're making great time.
I'm making great time. I am arriving 14 hours early at the airport. Say your thing.
Did you know that they made a really wild animated TV show after this first movie called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? I need to play for you the opening credits of this TV show, okay?
Bill asked Preston Esquire. And I am Ted. And I'm Logan. Together, we are Wild Stallions. Greetings, excellent ones. That can be all you want to be when you follow your dreams.
So this is a weird animated... They're flying around the pyramids, another famous place, dinosaurs, in a phone booth, and now they're in space, and Rufus is there, and now they're in fairy tales.
Excellent adventures, a most bodacious, courageous team. They'll stay together, friends forever.
Friends forever.
Excellent adventures, a most bodacious, courageous team. Cruising in their time. Party on, dudes.
Excellent.
It's Bill and Ted's Excellent
Bob.
Adventure. Did you ever see Wayne's World? Didn't that kind of sound like, you remember when Wayne's World was bought by that TV company and they retooled it and they took the really cool theme song and made it sound really kind of lame and dumb, That cartoon is so weird, and I've watched 2 episodes of it today because, I don't know where my life is going. They retell the whole movie in
Kinda
multiple
like,
episodes.
It's like a Sabrina situation.
It's like
again.
Sabrina. It's so weird, but like made for kids. Like they made it for little kids. This is like a Saturday morning cartoon based off of a TV of a movie with a very complex theme. So
You could really do anything with the 80s, couldn't you? You just do whatever you want. Just nobody
you
cares.
just do whatever you want. Did you also know that they made a Back to the Future cartoon?
Whoa.
Yep. And Christopher Lloyd was in the show.
What?
Yeah. It's just wild, man. It's just wild.
You know what? That song kind of reminded me of.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
And I just kind of want an excuse to sing it. I want to be the very best.
Like no one ever was. To catch them is my
real test.
To train them is my cause.
I will travel
Yep.
across
Yep.
the land.
Yep, you got it.
Searching far and wide. Teach Pokemon to understand the
Power that's inside. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Vulpix.
Ooh, Spiky Dog. Nice.
I also really like Rapidash.
Fast Pony.
Ponyta is
Ponyta,
fast pony.
yeah.
Rapidash is fast horse.
Fast Same thing.
I was a bit of a horse girl when I was younger, so Rapidash and Ponyta I was very excited about.
Nice.
A Pikachu, obviously. Come on,
Yeah.
who's your favorite?
That's like saying your favorite wizard is Harry Potter, right? Like,
Well, your favorite Beatles album is the best of the Beatles.
Which in many ways it was. Well, number one anyway. My favorite Pokemon, I was like the two different boxers, you know? Hitmonchan and
Hitmonchan, yeah.
and who's the other guy? Jackie Chan or something? The boxer. I'm Googling Pokemon that are people. Pokemons that
I'm
look.
Googling hot Pokemon.
I'm Googling sexy Pokemons. So the
Googling, oh boy, whoa.
Don't
okay,
do it.
okay.
Don't actually
Save search
do
on.
it.
Save search on.
you made a bad decision.
I really screwed the algorithm there. Oh boy. Why are we talking about this?
I don't know. Because it's important. Because we just watched one of the dumbest movies ever, and it's fine. We can do filler and talk about Pokemon a lot.
It's kind of.
I still loved it, but you know,
We've said this before. I don't know if we've said it in podcast verse or just to each other in the meat space, but sometimes it's kind of hard to do an episode when it's like a cool movie that we both like.
I
'cause there's not
know!
that much to say. Like, it was good. I liked it. Anyway, look at this sexy Pokemon. What are you up to?
Actually, real quick, and then we'll do an ad, and then we'll maybe talk about the movie. But what's the sexiest Pokemon?
Can you find like a BuzzFeed list? I'm gonna say Gardevoir is gonna be high up there.
Sexiest Pokemon. Top 10 sexiest Pokemon. First hit. All right.
Oh.
Number 1, Gardevoir.
Yes.
Nailed it.
I know
it.
sexy.
Yeah.
There's one thing I know. It's sexy Pokemon.
Yeah. Ooh, number 4, Primarina. Too sexy.
That's whoa.
That's too sexy.
That's no. Oh, I don't like this. Mewtwo is 8.
Mewtwo's not sexy.
What? Okay, there's some bad people on the internet. It turns out. Here's this is fun.
Yeah.
Number 2, female Lopunny.
Lopunny.
Lopunny is a quote from a fan. Lopunny could make me spend a paycheck. Her shape, elegance, and majesty are so far above top tier.
Whoa.
Definitely number 1 on any list of mine. Okay, I'm gonna stop there.
I just sent you a
Oh,
picture of
God.
Lopunny.
Oh, yeah, I know Lopunny. It's a cute bunny Pokemon.
I don't
It's
know. Maybe this is. I'm not sure if that's of an official
fine.
Pokemon
Did you write
photo.
this comment?
Yeah, I wrote that. She's winking at you. That's weird. Something's
It's just
weird.
a bunny. How is? I suppose she does have kind of thick thighs.
And like some certain je ne sais quoi.
But yeah, she's got a coyness about her.
A coy butt.
So anyway, Bill and Ted was good. Should we
Let's do it.
shall we go set ourselves on fire? I mean, shall we go and twist the movie?
Yeah, if we have to.
Yeah. What's it called when you go and you sit in a box and you say all your sins?
Oh, confession.
Yeah.
Pokemon confession. Forgive me, Father, if I have sinned. I tried to
Right.
catch them all. Forgive me, Father. It's been a while since my last confession. I've been out trying to battle all the.
But seriously
all the
though, have you
gym.
seen this bunny
Yeah,
Pokemon?
look. Hey, we're all you know.
Let me show you a picture. Wait, get really close to the window. I'll show you a picture. It's on my
Father,
phone.
you ready for something sexy?
Here are all the things I thought about this Pokemon. Number 1.
And then instead of rosaries, it's like a necklace of Pokeballs. Have you been to Confession in Vermilion City?
What about Nurse Joy, though? Am I right?
Yeah, Nurse Joy is all the priests, and she's the Ouiga.
Yeah.
Hello, nurse. If you know what I
Hello.
mean.
Am I right? I would.
Yeah. Brock's also kind of cute. Right, let's do an ad.
Are you ready for your very own excellent adventure? Why not go back and listen to some old episode of Plot Twisters? We have season 1 available to listen to right now, where we talk about films from the 90s. There's some really silly stuff in there, but there's also some pretty traveling stuff. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you find good podcasts.
Party on, dude!
Now, the problem that we're faced with here is that this film is already pre-twisted.
Okay, all right.
Um,
What do you do? What do you do when something's already twisted up?
Make it
Twist
boring
it.
again. What would be the film?
Yes. What's the serious version of this movie?
What's the film that we just watched that we turned into this?
Oh, we're working our way back. Oh
Yeah, we're
my
back.
God,
We're
we're-
in the future and we need to go back to the past.
We're using clues from the twist to try to decipher what was the movie from the 80s that we watched that we twisted into Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to take some
Okay.
inspiration from a couple of things.
Yeah.
A bit of River's Edge.
Right.
A bit of what was that one with the vampires?
Lost
Boys.
The Lost Boys.
A bit of Suburbia.
Yeah. Bunch of kids in a parking lot.
It also made me think about Detroit Rock City.
Yeah.
Band.
Yeah.
Obviously a bit of Back to the Future as well.
Back
That's
to the
kind of what I'm
Future.
looking. So it's kind of
Yeah.
mush it all together in a big pot, and it kind of comes out as like a kind of angsty existentialist.
Yeah. So like if Bill and Ted's,
situation.
I love it. If Bill and Ted are not dumb,
It's
sort
like a
of
Dazed
like,
and Confused.
yeah, they're serious. Maybe they're still sort of Dazed and Confused, sort of stoner guys or whatever, but they're not like silly air guitar, but rather they're just slacker students
The Sad Boys.
who are failing high school.
And a bit of election, maybe, where the teacher. Oh, it's his dad is.
His dad
What's his
is the-
dad? The police.
Well, one of them is a real creep. One of them is a real creep who married somebody
we
that.
didn't even talk about.
Dude, we didn't even talk about the fact that we didn't even talk about Bill's stepmom was a senior in high school when he was a freshman in high school.
And he has to call her mum.
And he has to call her mom.
That's
Missy.
some.
Ew, and then he
weird.
tells Bill to go buy some food so they can have some sexy times in his room with his mom. Also one time Bill and Ted hug and then they look at each other and they call each other the F word.
Yeah.
So that wasn't fine.
No, that was not fine.
We'll take all that out. No, because Bill's dad was or Ted's dad was is the chief of police or something.
Who's trying to send him to a military school because they're failing history.
'Cause he's failing history.
So I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like he's failing history.
Mm-hmm.
His dad's riding his ass about it.
Yeah.
And the teacher is all like, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. There's no way you can pass. There's no way you can succeed.
Yeah.
You're a loser. You're a dropout. And he's like, I just want to be a musician.
Just wanna be a
man. I just wanna
musician."
So if we kind of put ourselves in the perspective of somebody who really wants to be a musician
Mm-hmm.
as a teenager and wants to have a successful band, what's that like?
Oh, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome at first. Then you have the problem that teenagers have, which is like, it's hard to stick to stuff. And it's also, there's a lot going on. And then at some point somebody goes, well, you're not very good at guitar. not in order to be able to do it professionally or whatever. Probably think about a backup plan, you know what I mean? And that's why you started working at McDonald's part-time and ended up developing an ability to work in customer service. But it's fine, though, because some people have to play guitars professionally. I mean, you know, where would we be without... There's always a Sting in every generation, you know?
Yeah.
Or John Bon Jovi. Or current
Some
references.
of us are Jimmy Buffett. Some of us work in a buffet, you know.
Exactly. Some of us are Billie Eilish. Others are just, you know, Billie I Wish. That's pretty good, right? Billie Eilish, Billie I Wish.
Yeah.
I just come up with these. I just come up with them off my dome, you know? If these kids want to be musicians and they are struggling, do they, in the end, do we want this to be a gritty, sad movie where it's sad at the end and it reminds you that life is difficult and hard? Or do we want it to resolve positively at the end?
Something that interests me is it's like, as you say, occasionally, there's always got to be a sting, right? Occasionally, you get your Billie Eilish, Billie Eilish, and
William
Phineas.
Eilish, yeah.
William Eilish. What has to happen to them in order for them to be super successful?
I mean, they have to be challenged, and they have to overcome some big thing, or they have to be rich.
It's usually the second one. But how do you know any examples of a band of people who weren't very rich and somehow got really famous as teens and made it really big? You know any?
I mean, I'm not sure if you're specifically talking about the Beatles or you're just talking about any band in general. You know, I mean,
I knew you were gonna go there.
Always.
So I wanted to see how vague I could be.
I know. Here's the thing. I'm gonna talk about the Beatles. Let me talk about any band. Okay. Let me tell you about. You ever heard that little grunge rock band called Nirvana, right? Or as a good friend of mine refers to them as the Naked Baby Band, right?
The Naked Baby Band. Yep.
You know what happened to them, and you know what happened to a lot of bands, actually? They played a lot of small, crappy clubs all around the world. Mm-hmm. And at one point, right when they're starting to think, maybe this isn't going to happen, maybe we're not going to succeed, but at the same nexus of them being the best at performing at the level they're at, which is a low level, but like they're really bigger than that, but they just haven't succeeded. That's when someone, usually like an A&R person, or someone at a record company is given the demo tape, and they hear it or see them, and they go, "Ooh, that's pretty good," right? So a lot of bands get there through hard graft, and then they just get to a point where somebody hears them right at the right time, and they are signed up to a record deal, and then they succeed, right? That does happen. Other people go on television reality TV shows, and they win at being the best at singing, and then they're given a record contract.
Some are born great, and then some have greatness thrust upon them, etc. Maybe we want a slightly different time scale, which is that they are finishing the end of their junior year,
Right.
about to go into their senior year, so it's the summer break, and they decide that they want to go on a tour around a bunch of different countries to like rubbish dive bars, and in doing so they learn about the history of each place that they go to, and that's how they pass the test.
Oh, that's fun. Listen to this. What if they do that thing where, like, do you remember that movie About Time, where there's those guys in the pub, and then when they go in the bathroom and then they come back out and they've traveled through time a little bit. Did you see that? It was pretty good. It was made for the BBC. I'll send you a link. It's very, very good. I watched that and Frequently Asked Questions About Time in the same week, and it really wrinkled my brain. But in this movie, what happens is they just happen to they go into a one room, and then they come back out and they've traveled back through time. And you know, wonder if
Time Machine.
It's Hot Tub Time Machine, but although not as specific. Hot Tub Time Machine was very much like you have to get into this very specific hot tub. It's a localized hot tub that takes you to one localized time, which was the 80s, right? At the ski resort where you really figure out what went wrong in your life or what went well. And then you can take over Google and call it Google. In this one, maybe they're touring. I love this idea. They're touring different places. They're playing in London. They're playing in Paris. Mm-hmm. They're playing in Frankfurt, whatever. And each one of these venues that they play happens to be on a fault line that causes them to go back in time. Or do they bring a time machine with them? Or do they have like a guitar that's a time machine?
I was thinking there's just no time travel. They just go there and
and they just learn about the city.
Yeah, remember, we're keeping it boring.
So what you're saying is, between junior and senior year, the Wild Stallions, which are a semi-talented rock band, go on a European tour where they go just to like play music and meet chicks, but they inadvertently learn about history.
How about this? They go as a support act, maybe. So it's like they know someone who was a few years older than them, who was saying like, "Oh, we're going to do a European tour. You guys should come. We can't pay you, but you can be our support act, and you might get some exposure."
Yep.
But the parents are like, "No, don't do it. We don't want you to go. We want you to stay and study for your history thing." And then they end up going.
I've got it.
I got it.
What? I got it.
Say it.
There is still time travel in this movie, but it's a lot more subtle. Okay. So, they're in a band, and they're asked to mysteriously. They think they're terrible, but they get a letter from a famous rock band that asks them to go on tour over the summer, on a European tour, and they're like, "What, dude? We got asked to be on this tour, but we're supposed to stay home and study because we have to do this big exam on Europe." They convince their parents to let them go, and they meet this band, and they're a bit mysterious, but they're very good, and they tour with them. And what you don't know, what the audience maybe knows, is that band is from the future, and they've traveled back in time specifically to help Bill and Ted pass this history test, because in the future their music does solve. Maybe their music solves something in the future, but actually starts a bad war, and it's the bad war, and it turns out that their music starts a bad revolution, and it's the bad people coming back in time to make sure that Bill and Ted write that music.
Here's the journey we just went on.
What? What are you talking about?
Our mission for ourselves was to try and create the boring, gritty reality film that Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was our plot twister's twist of.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
We were kind of onto something. Then you went ahead and basically what I'm thinking is that you actually couldn't do a gritty reality with no fun and games and time travel.
Nope.
Then you realised halfway through that that's what you were doing. So you then said, but it's all bad. Everything's bad. There's a bad war in it.
Yeah. It's like a bad war. They're the bad guys. No, okay, this movie is about two high school guys who are in a band.
I love it. I love it.
And also like they go into the future at the end of the movie and they're like, "Wow, our music saved the world." And they hear their music and then they turn around and they see fire and destruction and chaos, and the warlord who's running this super terrible war goes, "Thanks for writing the music, Bill and Ted. You really helped us enslave the peaceful ones."
Do you remember when we watched Suburbia?
Suburbia? Yeah. Pony Boy.
You remember how we felt when we watched that film?
I liked it.
Did you?
I thought it was okay.
For listeners, if you've not heard that episode, it's basically about a bunch of teenage boys in a parking lot, and I got really annoyed about it because I thought it was nothing.
Prove me wrong. Maybe I didn't like it. I still kind of feel nostalgic about it, but I remember you didn't like it, and I didn't like it that much either.
So it's basically that, but they're in a band and history.
It's that, but they're in a band and history, and they read like a book about Copernicus, and then they get like a C- on the test. So they pass, but it's not great.
And then when they pick up the test as they're reading the C-, it goes, woo! And they travel through time.
Right. And the pages turn into a glowing rope that pulls them through the time rubric.
And they meet themselves as kids.
Yeah.
And then they,
Hey, on that.
or something.
Oh, and then meet their kids and then zombies. On that, imagine this. Imagine if you could spend one evening roasting marshmallows around a campfire with a representative of every year, of every age that you have been and ever will be.
Whoa.
Do you know what I mean? Right? There's baby you, 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, or maybe just to keep it simple, ages like 6 to 90.
Oh my goodness.
And you're just hanging out with you.
Yeah.
The stories you could tell. You could be like, hey, everybody, let's do our whole life in the next 10 minutes. Ready? Go. I remember when I was 6 years old, because I am 6, and this is what happened, and this is how I talk when I was a little kid, apparently. And then you could just share all those stories.
Times.
This is me from the olden
But
times.
what if someone... Okay, what about this? Somebody says to you, so you're going to open this door, and then on the other side of the door is a version
All
of
of you.
you at every age you have ever been and every age you will be.
Yep.
Right? And then you go through the door and you look around and everyone in there is younger than you.
Don't say that. That's really scary. That made me feel so scared. No,
I'm really good at scaring you.
Dude, you're not wrong. You know
I
that.
what-
You
I
know me.
What creeps you out.
The first thing I'm going to look for is the oldest mother effer in that room and go, yes! So at least I've got that.
Some shriveled old guy like collapsed on the floor, like barely moving. He looks about 4,000, and you're like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. This is like that TV show Flash Forward, you know?
Yeah.
People could see what they were doing in the future, and some people couldn't see anything, and they were like, oh yes, because you're going to die soon.
Mm.
But like you hang out with your little you, and you could give your 6-year-old you a piggyback ride and be like,
Yeah.
what? And you'd be like to 6-year-old you, what do you like? And they'd be like, I really like, drawing. I really like painting. And you'd be like, oh yeah, I did like painting.
And then I meet my 18-year-old self, and she goes, so what age did you win your Oscar in the end? And I go,
Mm-hmm.
I have a
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. Hey, and I meet my 18-year-old self, and they're like, cool, so are you the opening band for SNL yet? And I'll be like, no, but I do still own a guitar. That counts for something, right? Right?
Yeah.
Right? And then they just give each of us the finger. which is the style of the time to say
Yeah.
we disagree, but we still love you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Maybe that's the movie. It's just you in a fun house of mirrors, but instead of reflecting the same you, it's reflecting different eras of you.
And the film is called Every You.
Yeah. It's called You and You, Excellent Adventure.
Yeah. Excellent.
Party
on.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's rate this thing. Anders, on a scale of 1 to 5 giant bowls of ice cream, how many bowls of ice cream do you rate the movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
I don't know. 4 probably. I don't care. It's a 4. It's fun. Party on. Yeah,
don't care?
radical. I don't care what people think, you know?
Why are you here? Like, the whole thing is that we're supposed to care.
I know. I
Wow.
care so much that it feels uncomfortable. So sometimes I have to pretend I don't care just to look like I'm
fine.
cool, like I'm an average regular person. No, I give this movie a 4, and I think I give it a 4 because it's funny and stupid, and it's about time travel and a party on. You know, that's
and because
why.
it formed the basis for every single movie that you would ever come up with in your head on your podcast for the next couple of seasons.
Maybe I need to watch more dramas in my life so I can be a more rounded cinephile, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get you on some, what's that guy's name? Gus Van Sant. You can watch more of his things. Is that the one? The one he did all the sex ones? Don't watch those films. You won't like them. I am going to give this film a 3.
That's good. That's probably more than it deserves.
Well, I wasn't unhappy during any of it. I didn't get bored.
My last thought about this movie is this. There was a really good sequel and then an even cooler reboot late in life sequel, trilogy or whatever. Movies that keep coming back because the story is so awesome, they're one to think about. And I really cannot wait until they reboot this movie again. And I actually can almost guarantee that they're going to. And the next time they do it, it probably is going to be a TV show or some sort of another platform. And when it happens, I want to watch it and then talk about it with you on the podcast.
Sounds good. I'll see you there. Here's my final thought. I really like the phrase "be excellent to each other."
I know, right? Not just be nice to each other. Be excellent to each other.
Yeah.
I think a president could probably win an election with that as their campaign slogan.
I agree.
Re-elect Abe Lincoln. Party on, dudes. And be excellent to each other.
And also...
Sorry, I was just thinking about Skeleton Lincoln ruling the world.
He's so old.
He's so old. And definitely, because of the assassination, didn't he? Whoa, he didn't even know. Didn't Bill or Ted or somebody say, party on, dude, but also don't go to that play, you know?
Yeah, but then if he didn't, you know, what would be different? Butterfly effect. See? We didn't think it through, these writers who wrote this film.
Abe Lincoln was always supposed to die and had to die, is what you're saying. I get you. Fair. Yeah. Good word.
There's one time line.
Strong words, yeah. Flap, 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 flap. The butterfly effect.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Plot Twisters.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you have the time.
We'll see you next time.
Or if you don't have the time, you can go back in time and then leave us a review. Or actually, sorry, just remember, tomorrow, go back in time and leave us a review. Oh, you did! Thanks.
There's one thing I know, it's sexy Pokemon.